Hi there, welcome back to part 5 of level 1 on the electronic music production with Ableton Live course. So in this one we're going to look at audio clips in more detail. We'll deal with MIDI clips in a later session. So clips, as we know, as we've seen if you've watched previous videos, are these bits down here. These are clip slots, and this is a clip I've got in here. It's the same one I've been using for the last few videos, so I'm sorry if you're sick to death of hearing that drum loop, but whatever, just deal with it. Clips are where all our musical elements are kept. Okay, so they contain audio and MIDI information, so it's useful if we know exactly kind of how they function, how we can use them to obviously create songs that we've looked at in previous videos, and also how we can edit them and make them different as well, because they're basically the building blocks of all our song. So what you want to do is get yourself a new blank project open. Get rid of any MIDI tracks for now. I would let's just have one audio track, which I've got here. Ignore this track. This is just where my microphone is going in, so you can actually hear what I'm saying. Again, you use whatever clip you want. It doesn't particularly matter. Don't forget you've got the free ones that we've referred to in previous lessons. Right. So once you've got a clip in here, we're going to double click on it, just to open up our clip view window down here, which we've learnt all about as well in previous lessons. So you can double click on it there, or you can click down here to open and close that. So first of all, we can resize the clip if we need to kind of like zoom right in to do some really close editing. So to zoom in and out, move your cursor just onto this bit here, into the grid just above there, and you'll see you get a little hand with sort of a magnifying glass. So if you click and drag your mouse down, you can zoom right in like that, so you can see you can get in ridiculously close. And then if you move your mouse away from you, it will zoom the other direction. I can never remember which way is in or out, but for me that's zooming in and that's zooming out. But yeah, so down kind of is going to go in, and moving it away is going to go out. So yeah, that's kind of a useful thing, and that actually works on, if you're looking on arrangement view, again we have the zoom in and out function here, so you can zoom right in on your clips and out, exactly the same procedure on that bit as well. Right, so if we look over here on to the left of the clip, we've got a couple of boxes. We've got one called clip, and this one called sample, and this contains, if we just look at the clip one just tells you a little bit about it. You've got the name here, so you can actually rename it in there. Remember we looked earlier, you could right click on there, but you can rename it in here. So let's do that, why not? You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it clip because I can't think of anything more interesting than that. So you can see it's now updated up there. You can change the colour, okay, of your clip in there, and you can see it, all those changes are reflected down here. Then it gives you a bit of information here, a bit on what Ableton thinks is the time signature of it, or indeed if it's got that information within it, it will show it in there. Groove stuff is a bit more complicated, so I'm going to ignore that for now. So if we look in the sample box, there are also other windows that you can hide and show by clicking on these here. So if we click on that, you can see we have the launch type for the clip. And here it brings up some envelopes as well, but leave those for now. I'm just going to have these two windows open. This one is always here, okay, for the clip. You can deactivate it sort of by turning it off there, but obviously leave that on. And the sample window. So the sample box gives us some information about how the clip was recorded. So you can see here, there's its name. It was recorded at 44.1 kilohertz. It's 24-bit. It's 2 channels, so it's a stereo loop clip rather than a mono one, and so on. Ignore all these for now. Look at this down here. We've got a volume slider and a transpose dial. So the volume slider will actually just change the volume of just that clip, okay, rather than the overall volume on the master. So we can kind of mix our clips. If I just play it, okay, so that's the volume slider purely for that clip. That volume is not going to affect anything else in your project. If you've got 600 other clips, it's not going to affect that. It's just for this clip, which is very useful actually if you're finding one particular clip is too loud and you don't want to fiddle about with your volumes here because it's going to affect something else that may be on that track. And obviously you can go, sorry, yeah, it's going to sound horrible, and take it right into distortion. on that bit. So that's very useful, just having that volume switch in there. The transpose button will change the pitch of the clip. So again, if I play it, and if we go up, okay, you can hear the pitch going up, and if we go down, okay. Now, because this clip is warped, which I'm just going to talk about in a second, you can hear that it only affects the pitch. It doesn't affect the speed. So the clip will continue to play back at whatever the master tempo is set at. So it's still going to stay in time, but it's just going to affect the pitch. If you want to reset any of either this, or indeed any other controls back to the default settings, if you just highlight it and hit your delete button, okay, it will take it back to its original settings if you can't remember where that was. Just on the transpose, you can see here it says at the moment its default setting is on 0 ST. So ST are semitones, and that's basically a semitone is kind of one step up on a keyboard. So if you go up from, like, if you go from C to C sharp, that's a semitone, and you have 12 semitones in an octave. So if you want to take this up an octave, you would, a quick way of doing that is, if you know exactly where you want to go with it, is double click in there and type in 12. So that's going to transpose that up 1 octave. That may make no sense to you if you don't know anything about semitones and octaves, but if it does, hopefully that helps you know what semitones and so on are. And then cents are kind of smaller divisions of semitones. So you get, I can't quite remember how many cents are in a semitone, to be honest with you, but that's it. Oh, there we go, 50, 48, it's 48 or 50, something like that. I think it's 48. But yeah, that's like really fine tuning, only tuning, which generally for these purposes we don't need to know. So then we have the warp section. Okay, so this is Ableton. So warping is what Ableton calls time stretching. So that's what helps our clips stay in time with the master tempo. All right. So if warp is turned off, this won't follow any tempo changes. So if we've got a clip and a loop like this, we've got to make sure that that warp button stays on. We've got a loop button here. Okay, so if that's off, this will happen. It will play through once, and then it will stop. Okay, so you want to keep it repeating, make sure loop is on. Now, if it's not warped, you can't loop it. Okay, so you've got to make sure warp is on for looping it. I'm not going to get too involved in warping at the moment. There is a much more in-depth thing on warping coming up on my DJing with Ableton Live course, so look out for that, and I'll probably cover warping in this course as well, so you've not got to switch between the two. For now, leave warp on and leave loop on. So along the top, you can see we've got numbers in our clip view here. So these refer to the beats and the bars. Okay, so this is a 4-bar clip. So here's beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, and beat 4. And then we have the divisions. So here is, so there's beat 1, start beat 1, sorry, bar 1, beat 1. Here we have bar 1, beat 2, which is 1.2, bar 1, beat 3, bar 1, beat 4. So if I play that and count along, you can sort of see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So there's bar 2, beat 2, bar 2, beat 3, and 4. If you zoom in further, you'll see more numbers appear, which takes the subdivisions down even further. So these are now subdividing the bar down into eighth notes. If you know what eighth notes are, it will make more sense, but that's basically the first eighth note. So that and that splits beat 1 into 2 halves, so that's kind of counting it 1 and 2 and so on. And if you zoom in even further, it will take the subdivisions down to 16th notes, like 1, E, and if the counting on that. I will try and do a little bit of probably a course on a little bit of music theory, just so you'd know what I'm talking about eventually on these. For now, I would just leave it at that, just so you can see the beats. So the important thing to remember is that each clip has its own individual settings. Okay, even if it's on the same track as another clip, when you just change one clip, it will only affect that clip. Okay, it won't affect the other clips that are in the track. So we can use this to, you know, edit different clips and make them sound different from each other. So to demonstrate this, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the clip that we've already had on our track. So a couple of ways. I'm just going to get rid of this for now, just so you can see these clips. A couple of ways to duplicate a clip. Usual thing, we can right click, and click that and duplicate it. Okay, it's going to copy that clip into the slot below, the next available empty slot. It's going to get rid of that. Keyboard shortcut, as before, Control, oops, got to highlight it, Control D. We'll do that. You could Control C, so highlight it, Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it. That's useful if you want to put it into a different track. Or another way, and one I generally use most of the time, is to click and hold on it, hold your Control button down and drag down. Okay, let go of your mouse first, then your Control button, and then it will copy it like that, in the same way as we looked at copying in an earlier video in the arrangement view, copying the clips across. It does the same thing. So it's entirely up to you, whichever way you want to do it. There's no right and wrong way of doing it, whatever works for you. So what we're going to do with this new clip, so I'm just going to double click on the new clip to open that one. We're going to transpose this up by 2 octaves, 24 semitones. Okay, so I'm going to double click, rather than trying to fiddle about trying to get that to 24, I'm going to double click in there, type in 24. If we play back this clip, you can see that's now been transposed up and the pitch is higher. So you could rename that. So we could rename that as clip, I don't know, transposed. Okay, so we know which one is which. So if we go for the original clip and then go to the new clip, back to the original one. Okay, so we can hear the differences between the two. So we can have the same clip with different settings on it on the same track, which is really useful. Okay, so if we look down here as well in the sample box, this contains information about how the clip loops. So we can change the length of the loop and also the section of the bar that loops. So at the moment the whole bar is looping. See, it's starting at bar 1, it's ending on bar 5, so that's the whole the length of the clip that will play, and the loop is going to start at bar 1 and it's going to loop for 4 beats. So if we want to just loop 3 beats, okay, so these buttons are these boxes, so these are bars, beats and 16th notes. Okay, so to keep it simple, I'm just going to put a 3 in there. So if you look at this, this is the loop brace. You can see that's now changed to 3 bars. So if we now play that, okay, it's only going to play for those 3 beats now. We can also just, once we've got that loop brace is going to always be in there as long as loop is on. If that's not, it's not going to loop. We can obviously manually change that. So if we want to do, say, 1 bar, you can see down here it's now changed to a 1. We can also grab hold of the loop brace when the cursor is like that. So let's say we want it to loop the 2nd bar and play it. Let's see what happens there. Okay, so it's just going to loop that 2nd bar. Now this triangle thing here, that's going to determine where the loop actually starts. Okay, obviously it can't start after the clip, but what we could do is we could tell the clip to start playing at beat 1, sorry, at bar 1, play through bar 1 and bar 2, but then just loop bar 2 like this. Okay, which is another useful section. This one triangle at the end is going to tell it where the clip's going to stop. So if we're not, let's just take that. In fact, when it's looping, it's not really relevant. But let's say we've got to loop the whole thing. I'm not sure if this will work actually. No, that's actually more relevant for stuff that isn't looped. Let me just demonstrate that. If I take the loop off and just put it there, okay, you can see it stops the clip there. Okay, so that's just what the triangle is at the other end. Again, when we're looping clips, it doesn't really have much of an effect. So that gives you a bit of flexibility on where you can loop it. So this, if I drag that to start there, you can see that's reflected over here now. So it's telling the clip to start playing at beat 2. So we can start your clip playing anywhere. You can end it playing anywhere if it's not looped. And you can change the position of the loop and the length of the loop. With the loop brace, we can also, like I say, we can drag that loop brace and have it however long we want it, and we can move it around like that. Okay. So let's just take that back to what it was before. So it should be on 1. So we're just going to loop the whole thing like that. That's about where it was originally. So at the moment then we've got the original clip. We've got the transposed clip. Okay. What we could also do with the clips is we can reverse the audio to have a nice weird reverse sound. So I'm going to reverse the original clip. Okay, so if I duplicate that, what's going to happen with it is it's written over. It basically duplicates it to the next clip down. So it's written over that clip that I originally had with the transpose. So I'm just going to undo that by clicking Control Z. So if we want to copy that clip and put it in there, we've got to do copy and paste. Or the easier way is click and hold on it, hold your control button down, and drag it down, and we're going to put it in there. So what we're going to do with this one, we're going to reverse the audio. So it actually plays the clip backwards, which is this button here that says Rev. So if you click on that, and you'll see it reverses everything, and we now play that one. Okay. So now you can see with this view open, and here I can only actually see 2 clips on here. I've not got enough screen space to cover all of those. So I'm going to just get rid of the ins and outs, give me a bit more space. So there's an original clip, transposed clip, reverse clip. Okay, and we're going to do one more. It's going to copy this down again. We can also change the speed that our clip plays back at. Which is this thing here. So this is, I can never remember which way around it is. So here we can use our info view just to demonstrate that. Right, so that one is going to halve it. It's going to kind of divide the speed by half, and that one is going to multiply it, going to double the speed. So if I do it half speed first of all, play that. Okay, so that's gone back at sort of its double its time. That seems to be the opposite way around to what I thought it was. But anyway, if you want to play it slower, okay, so that kind of gives us sort of a half-time kind of feel. So we've taken that original clip, and you can see we've manipulated it into 4 different clips, all of which now have their own separate properties. So we have the original one, got the transposed one, got the reversed one, and we've got the half-time one. Okay, now I'm not sure if I've spoken about the global quantization thing up here. I generally always leave this on 1 bar. Okay, you can change it, but what happens is when a clip's playing, if I play the next one and I start it playing on, say, beat 2, like there, it's going to always start on beat 1 of the next bar. So everything always starts nice and in time. So I would generally just leave that on 1 bar for now, because it makes it easier. As long as, so let's say I've got this clip playing, as long as I hit play on here sometime after beat 1, it's going to play on the beat 1 of the next bar. Okay, which keeps everything nice and in time. Okay, I'm going to leave this video here because it's getting quite lengthy. We're up to nearly 20 minutes on this one, but there's some very useful information in here on how you can manipulate your clips and change the sound of them and so on. So thanks for watching. As always, if you've got any questions, stick them in the box below. Please like, subscribe, share the videos around, and I will see you in part 6. Thanks for watching. Bye.